Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's forum on environmental issues, protecting our planet for future generation. I'm thrilled to see such a dedicated audience here, and I'd like to extremely felt my heartfelt thanks to each of you for being here today. My name is Kanigeswari Shanmugan, and I'll be moderating our discussion. As we face an unprecedented climate crisis, the importance of having open, honest, and a informed conversation about the environment has never been greater. Today's event is about more than just raising awareness, it's about creating a sense of urgency and empowerment. We all have a role to play in ensuring that we leave a sustainable planet for the generation that follows us. From the air we breathe to the water we drink and the food we eat, the environmental issues we face touch every aspect of our daily life. Issues like climate change, waste management, and renewable energy are not only scientific or technical challenges, they are moral imperatives that require immediate action. But it's also essential to remember that while the problems are daunting, there are solutions. Together, we can take steps to reduce our environmental impacts and change the trajectory of our future. We have three remarkable speakers today who will help shed light on these challenges and share potential solutions. Our first speaker, Ms. Lakshania Sai Rajendran, is a climate change specialist. She will walk us through the science of climate change, discuss the alarming consequences it is already triggered, and explore both mitigation and adaptation strategies. Following that, me, Kanigeswari Shanmugan, a waste management expert, I will give you guys the in-depth look at the current state of waste management, including innovative technologies that can help tackle the global waste crisis. Finally, Mr. Muhammad Nur Afizi bin Nur Hadi, a renewable energy advocate, will discuss how transitioning to renewable energy can be a critical solution for both climate change and the pollution problem we face today. We'll follow a structured format where each speaker will present around 15 minutes, providing their insights and expertise on their respective topics. Afterward, we'll open the floor for a dynamic Q&A section. During this time, I encourage you to ask questions, share your thoughts, and engage with the speakers on these pressing matters. The goal is not just to absorb information, but to ignite ideas, spark conversation, and most importantly, inspire actions. Let's not forget that while many of these challenges are global in scope, each of us has the power to make difference in our own lives, communities, and businesses. No action is too small, whether it's reducing waste, conserving energy, or advocating policies that protect our planet. Every decision we make and contribute to a larger movement for change. Without further delay, let's begin. It is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Lakshania Sai, who will discuss the critical issue of the climate change.
Thank you, Ms. Kanageswari, and thank you all for being here today. Climate change is undeniable of one of the most pressing challenges of our time. It's an issue that affects every part of our planet, from the very ecosystem that support life to the economies that drive human progress. And while we may often hear about the global impacts of climate change in the media, it's essential to understand and the science behind it in order to appreciate the full extent of the problem and what we can do to solve it. At its core, climate change is driven by the accumulation of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide in the atmosphere. These gases trap heat, causing global temperature to rise. It's important to note that this is not a natural phenomenon. These gases are primarily released by human activities, including the burning of fossil fuels for energy, deforestation, and industrial processes. The rapid pace at which we are releasing these gases into the atmosphere is unprecedented in human history, and the consequences are already becoming apparent. Since the Industrial Revolution, the global temperature has risen by more than 1 degree Celsius. This may seem like a small amount, but the impacts are enormous. We have seen a rise in sea levels, the melting of polar ice cap, and extreme weather events such as wildfires, hurricanes, and droughts becoming more frequent and severe. These extreme weather events are not only devastating to human life, but they also disrupt ecosystem and displace millions of people. The biodiversity crisis is one of the most alarming consequences of climate change. As temperatures rise, many species find it harder to survive in their natural habitats. This leads to shift in ecosystems, with some species migrating to cooler areas while others face extinction. The loss of biodiversity has a ripple effect as it weakens ecosystems that provide essential services such as pollinations, clean water, fertile soil. Without this ecosystem, human survival becomes more difficult. But while these problems may seem insurmountable, we have solutions at our disposal. The pathway forward requires two primary strategies, which is mitigation and adaptation. Mitigation refers to reducing or preventing the emissions of greenhouse gases, which is key to slowing the rate of global warming. This can achieve by transitioning to renewable energy sources, improving energy efficiency, and protecting forests. Individuals also have a role to play by reducing their carbon footprints, using energy efficient applications, and supporting policies that prioritize environmental protection. Adaptation, on the other hand, involves making adjustments to our lifestyle and infrastructure to cope with the impacts of climate change that are already occurring. This includes building resilient infrastructure, developing drought resistant crops, and planning for extreme weather events. In many parts of the world, particularly in developing countries, adaptation will require international cooperation and financial support to ensure that the most vulnerable populations aren't left behind. As individuals, we can make a tangible difference in combating climate change. By making small changes in our daily life, driving less, use public transport, reducing waste, and supporting sustainable brands. This can help reduce the amount of carbon we produce. This action, when taken collectively, can lead to substantial impact. The more people who join the movement for change, the more we will send a message to policymakers, businesses, and communities that a sustainable future is not just necessary but possible. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to discussing these ideas further during the Q&A session. Now, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Kanageswari, who will delve into the vital issue of waste management.
Thank you, Ms. Lakshania Sai, and thank you for all being here. Waste management might not seem as immediate pressing as climate change, but the sheer scale of waste production and its environmental consequences make it a critical issue. The global waste crisis is growing at an alarm reading, with over 2 billion metric tons of waste being generated every year. And this figure is expected to be increased by 70% by 2050 if we don't take immediate action. Waste management is not just about collecting and disposing of trash. It's about preventing environmental damage, protecting the health of future generations. Plastic waste, in particular, has become one of the most visible and troubling aspects of the global waste crisis. Every year, million tons of plastic end up in our ocean, where it harms marine life and enters the food chain. Imagine that the fish we eat are consuming plastic, and in turn, we are consuming the fish. It's a frustrating thought that we all a part of a cycle that damaging our environment and ourselves. Microplastic have even been found in a human bloodstreams, underscoring the pervasive nature of this issue. The improper disposal of waste also has significant environmental and health consequences. When waste is not disposed of properly, toxic chemicals can leak into the soil and groundwater, contaminating our food sources and drink water. Open air burning of waste releases harmful pollutants into the atmosphere, contributing to air quality issues and exacerbating the respiratory disease. However, solutions to the waste crisis are possible. The key lies in the 3R: reduce, reuse, and recycle. We can all reduce our waste by making conscious purchasing choices, opting for products with minimal packaging, and avoiding single use plastic. Reusing items such as repurposing containers or donating old clothes can also significantly reduce the amount of waste we produce. Recycling allows materials like paper, glass, and metals to be repurposed into a new products, saving energy and resources in the process. Furthermore, the technological innovations are helping us to tackle waste in a new, exciting ways. Waste to energy technology. For an example, converts waste into a usable energy, providing a solution to both waste disposal and energy production. In some cities, plasma gasification is used to break down waste into non-toxic gas, while in others, advanced recycling methods are being used to improve efficiency. In Japan, for instance, nearly 80% of waste is recycled or reused thanks to a combination of government policy and public participations. In addition to these individual and technological solutions, we need systematic change. Government need to implement stricter regulations on waste disposal and incentivize businesses to take responsibility for the waste they create. By supporting these policies and practices, we all can contribute to solving the waste crisis. Thank you for listening, and now I will turn it over to Mr. Nur Afizi, who will discuss the vital role of renewable energy in safeguarding our planet.
Okay, thank you Kanageswari and Lachanasai, and good day to everyone. Renewable energy is a key to sustainable future. Traditional fossil fuel, coal, oil and natural gas has powered our society for centuries, but at tremendous environment cost. The extraction, processing and burning fossil fuel contribute to the climate change, air pollution and resources depletion. If we are to combat the environment crisis we face, we must transition to cleaner and more sustainable source of energy. Renewable energy offer a promising solution. Solar, wind and hydropower are main form of renewable energy. So it can replace fossil fuel. Solar energy is abundant and has enormous potential. The sun provides more energy in a single hour than our world uses in an entire year. Okay, by harnessing the energy through solar panel, we can generate electricity without emitting harmful greenhouse gases. Wind energy is also efficient and clean source of power. For example, countries like Denmark, Germany are already generating significant portion of their electricity from wind farm, and wind energy has potential to power entire country. One of the challenges we face is that solar and wind energy are weather dependent. But thanks to our advanced technology such as battery storage system, we are increasingly able to store energy and use it even when the sun is not shining and wind is not even blowing. So these innovations are making renewable energy more reliable and more accessible ever than before. Okay, renewable energy not only helps to reduce emission and also combat energy changes, but it also offer economic benefits. The renewable energy sector is creating millions of new jobs worldwide, from manufacturing solar panel and wind turbines to the installation and maintenance of energy system. So these jobs are often well-paying and cannot be outsourced. It can also provide significant economic opportunities for both developed and developing nations. So while transition to renewable energy is essential, this can be expensive for some countries. Developing countries often face significant challenges in financing the infrastructure needed to switch to renewable energy. But international financial support such as loans, grants from organizations like the World Banks can help to offset this cost. So by investing in renewable energy today, developing countries can avoid the high cost of fossil fuel dependency in the long term, and it can also foster a more sustainable future for their citizens. So thank you for the attention, and I also look forward for discussing this new idea further during our Q&A session.
Thank you so much to our speakers for those thoughtful, insightful presentations. Today's conversation has highlighted some of the most pressing environmental issues of our time. And more importantly, it has provided actionable solutions. We now have the opportunity to open the floor for questions. And I encourage you to ask questions, share your thoughts, and engage with our speakers. Together, we can make a real difference in protecting our planet for future generations. So let's get started. So, Ms. Lakshania Sai, thank you for the informative presentation, and I have a question for you. You mentioned that the role of individuals in mitigating climate change. Could you provide a specific action that we, as consumers, can take to reduce our carbon footprint on a daily basis?
Thank you for your question. There are several actions we can take to reduce our carbon footprint. For example, switching to public transport, biking, or walking instead of driving can reduce emissions. At home, using energy efficient applications, reducing water safe, and opting for renewable energy options can all help. Additionally, reducing, reusing, and recycling products and choosing sustainable brands are effective ways to minimize our environmental impact. Small changes, when adopted by many people, can create a significant positive impact.
Thank you, Ms. Lakshania Sai.
Okay, I'm also curious. Laksanya Sai's no, Kanageswari, she said about importance of waste management and recycling. May I ask, how do we address the issue of plastic waste, especially single-use plastic in everyday life?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Nur Hafizi. To address plastic waste, especially single-use plastics, we can start by reducing our consumptions of plastic items. This means opting for reusable alternative like metal or bamboo straws, cloth shopping bags, and stainless steel or glass water bottles. Businesses can also play a role by using less plastic packaging or adopting biodegradable materials. Proper recycling is essential, but we must also focus on reducing the demand for single use plastic in the first place. Supporting businesses and initiative that prioritizes sustainability is another key part of the solution.
Alright, thank you, Miss Kanageswari, for the meaningful input.
Thank you.
Do Miss Lasanya have any question to ask?
Yes, I have a question. So my question is to you, Mr. Hafizi. So, how can developing countries afford to switch to renewable energy given the high cost of infrastructure?
Okay, that's a hard but great question. Many developing countries face financial challenges in transitioning to renewable energy. However, international organizations like World Bank, like I said before, and regional development bank provide funding and grants to help offset initial costs. Additionally, some countries are already seeing a long-term saving from renewable energy investment as they reduce their reliance on expensive fossil fuel. Public and private partnership along with incentive for business can also to invest in renewable infrastructure can also help to make the transition more affordable for this country. In the long run, the economic benefit of renewable energy, such as job creation and energy independence, can also help this country to thrive. I think that's answering this question.
Thank you for the informative information.
Thank you for your thoughts and questions and contributions. Today's forums has been an eye-opening and inspiring discussion. As well we leave here today, I urge you to think about the role you can play in tackling these environmental challenges. Whether it's reducing your carbon footprint, advocating for stronger policies, or supporting sustainable future for the generation to come. Thank you again for attending, and let's stay committed to making our world a better place. That's all from us. Thank you.
Alright,
Thank
thank
you.
you.